Hi everybody. Well, we made it to the end of the semester. And here I just wanted to say a few words about what the learning goals of the class were and what I think we were able to do. So one of the first things that I want you to get out of this class is to be able to make the links and connection between international politics and your day-to-day life. And I think that in this semester, given the global pandemic and a lot of the political upheaval all around us, that link was pretty obvious and pretty clear. Otherwise, students can think about economic implications, just look in your closet. Just look at your shoes. A lot of things that we have are made abroad. And when we think about international politics, all of those things should come to mind. And so I wanted you also to be able to think a little bit bigger about international politics, not just how it impacts my daily life, but also what is it? What are the processes that are part of international politics? And we talked some about connections between government and about all of those different events and things that happen that impact and have a role in international politics. We learned, and this is something that I always want you to get out of this class, we learned about theories of international relations. If you remember, we talked about realism, liberalism, constructivism, IR feminism, neo-Marxism, or world system theory, and mentioned a few others. And I really wanted you to understand that those are points of view, and this is how each one of us may look at the world and see things a little bit differently. We discussed the differences between liberalism and realism and how constructivism somewhat bridges those two. And I hope you learned and understand those theories, and also that you are able to find yourself or to be able to identify your point of view and which theory it is closest to. We learn about the different actors of international relations, right? There are the nation states, but also international organizations, transnational networks, non-governmental organizations. And I wanted you to know what the differences are between all of those, and also what role they are playing in international politics. So traditionally, as we learned, most of international interactions in politics happen between nation states. And here the superpowers or the most powerful countries are the more or most important. But especially ever since World War II, we see the role of international organizations, such as the United Nations or the European Union. We see the role of non-governmental organizations advocating, providing information, assisting governments and intergovernmental organizations when they write treaties or have to complete a task. And also multinational corporations that are just large and big and rich and have a lot of influence, at least in some countries. And then on top of that, there are those transnational networks, including networks of experts and scholars, or transnational movements such as the women's rights movement that is operating in many countries, but also less benign organizations such as terror groups, organized crime, human trafficking networks, drug cartels. Those are all also actors that have an impact in international politics. We then moved on to discuss different topics that have that we can most see international politics operate in those topics. We talked about security, war, peace, violence, terrorism. We also talked about international political economy and how it is important and how much impact it has. And here is where you see the work of nation states, but a lot of intergovernmental organizations that are very influential when it comes to international political economy. And then we talked about issues such as the global environment or global ecology and human rights and global health. And here again, we see the work of nation states, intergovernmental organizations, but also this is where non-governmental organizations such as Human Rights Watch and the Red Cross and others, this is where they come in. So I wanted you to be able to understand what are those topics, what are the major questions that are relevant to international politics in each of those topics right now. Right, we discussed, do we see terrorism as a threat? We talked about human rights. We talked about rich and poor countries. We tried to understand processes in all of those different topics. And then I also wanted you to be able to take all this material, theories, concepts, all those different things that you read about and we learned and discussed, and be able to apply it to real world events, either historical or current events. And especially with this latter one, this is where your assignment of the news blog came in. This is where I asked you to take actual current events, stories from the news, and be able to apply what you learn. Comment, have a position, take a stand and tell me what you think about that specific news story and how it is relevant to international politics. And I thought that was very interesting. I really enjoyed reading all of your blog posts. One thing that is also always a goal for me when I teach any of my political science and international relation classes is to work on developing or perfecting or improving your critical thinking and critical analysis skills. And here is where a lot of the assignments and the discussion forums that we were engaged in, this is what those tasks were aimed at. Helping you ask questions, helping you interact with different opinions, and then with the hope that you guys would learn to think critically about information, not to take anything for granted. With a lot of our discussions and a lot of the times when I asked you questions and I made comments on your assignment, the point was not to try and make you think in a certain way. We can all have different opinions. But what is important is to be able to take a stand, take a position. Don't say, I think this is the right move for the United States government, but it can also be the wrong move. No, have an opinion, take a stand, and know how to explain why you think what you think. And then also be able to ask questions. If somebody thinks differently than you, that only means that you are thinking differently on this one topic. And you can ask them questions, and you can look for more information. And all of those things are part of our critical thinking skills. And they are very important no matter what career choice you have after college, or no matter what you're doing in life, it is very, very important to be able to think critically about everything that happens around us. And then finally, one of my goals, and this is just, I hope I succeeded in that. I know that I did with some of you, but maybe not with all of you, is to just get you a little bit more passionate about international politics. Just interested, I hope that you will continue to follow the news and be able to, at least in your mind or with conversations with others, be able to apply some of the things that we studied in this class. I thought that many of you stayed engaged, and I know that this is a little bit harder with an online class, and this semester being probably all your classes or most of your classes being online. And I thought that you were doing a really good job staying on top of things. Any of those topics that we covered, we kind of just touched on them. And the university, the Department of Political Science, offer classes on many of those. We teach classes on terrorism, on international security, on international organizations. We teach about conflict resolutions and international negotiations, and many more classes. So even if you're not majors of political science, I encourage you to look around and see what other interesting classes are there. Finally, if there is ever a place where you think I can help you, writing a recommendation letter, giving you an advice about what classes to take or what graduate school to apply to or anything along these lines, I'll be happy to do that. And so, that was our semester. You still have a few more tasks and an exam to complete. I'm around, so just let me know if you have any questions. And then next week, I do have those 2 other Zoom sessions for review for exam 3. And so I hope to see you in other classes in the future. And for now, good luck in your finals. And have a wonderful winter break.